All right, well, let's hope that this game is going to make up for three relative duds, although I do think that the three NBA title favorites taking care of business pretty easily today is something that augurs for good basketball later on. This series, the one which I would say I was close to the most torn, hard to say whether that was the 4-5 with the Clippers in Denver or also 3-6 with the Lakers and Minnesota, but I saw all three of these series in the West as pure toss-ups.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see. And I mean, the context here also that the Rockets played a fantastic game against the Warriors about 2 weeks ago, where they at Chase Center just completely dominated them. Steph Curry had one of his worst performances of the year. Amen Thompson is a monster. So, going to be a lot of fun to see what's different, what's the same from that game.
Well, the biggest thing that I believe is the Rockets have to dominate the possession game, both turnovers, where they can turn it over a lot as well, and Golden State forces a lot of turnovers, the fast break game, and then, of course, even more than that, the offensive rebounding, where this is the best offensive rebounding team that we've seen in more than 10 years, and the Golden State Warriors don't have a starter over 6'7" and have one player, basically, I guess if you want to count Looney, it's two in their rotation over 6'7". And so many components to all that as well. Amen Thompson guarding Steph, the double big lineup. Are they going to use it when Steph is actually on the floor? Do they go zone there? How much is Steven Adams going to play? So many things that we are eager to see right now. But I definitely tried intellectually to not overreact any to what we saw a couple of weeks ago because the Houston Rockets dominated that game physically.
The Warriors have had trouble at times with very, very long, very athletic teams, and the Rockets certainly check both of those boxes. And the defensive matchups here are going to be worth watching. Where does Alperen Şengün live? Because they don't want him on somebody who can shoot or somebody who's in a lot of actions.
Rockets win the tip. It's Moody guarding Jalen Green. Jalen Green is going to need to score some in isolation in the half court. Curry is on Brooks. They try to run the action to get Curry involved. And there's Thompson trying to dunk it down. And we're going to get a foul before the putback by Alperen Şengün. Beautiful set action there with multiple screening action, slips to the basket, and then Thompson goes up, and that's the first foul on Draymond Green, which, of course, will be a storyline with Green so undersized.
As always, and also because the Warriors' lack of suitable replacements for Draymond Green. So any foul trouble he's in, that's a missed free throw from Ben Thompson, looms even larger because they just, I mean, though they could try Kevon Looney and a few other guys, but it doesn't work the same way defensively without Draymond available.
No, definitely not. And Thompson misses them both. And there's your first Rockets offensive rebound of the game.
Not exactly the most dominant Rockets offensive rebound, but yes, it counts.
Well, it is dominant because that's a missed free throw. That the defense should have a massive advantage there. Podziemski has the matchup against Van Vliet, wants to keep him from coming off the screen. Van Vliet forces his way through. Şengün on the pick and pop against Draymond. Can he put a second foul on him? Goes through him. Offensive foul. That was a huge call right there, but Şengün, remember, got into it with Draymond late second quarter of that last matchup in Chase Center. What do you think of that call?
It's an offensive foul. Draymond Green is in position. Şengün is not under control.
Butler is guarded by Van Vliet. They will do lots of switching, but not in that matchup when Şengün's man is the screener. Curry got the good look, maybe a better look than he had at any point in that game in Chase Center. There's Thompson guarded by Butler, goes to the mid-range pull-up, and that finally opens the scoring. They throw it ahead quickly. Moody off the screen, engages Şengün, not going to try him. Curry is weak side. They're going to try to find a screen for him. Now Brooks has switched on to him. This will be Butler going at Thompson. Not an advantage matchup. Good go and catch, Thompson. No charge. They said Moody was under control. Three-pointer by Butler is off. Butler did at least take the three. He kept the offense on time there, but couldn't make the shot go down.
Worth noting, both Pajemski and Moody went for the offense.
Oh!
Oh!
Green gets dunked on by Şengün, and you know he is satisfied by that after their tete-a-tete last time. This Rocket switching just like they like to do in 2018. It's very aggressive. Moody fires the three. That misses.
And Şengün had 3 big dunks like that in their game against the Nuggets on the last day of the regular season.
Van Vliet fires the three. That's good. 7-0 Houston already. Curry on the ball. Gets it to Pajemski. Looks like they're going to try to run Curry off the ball here. Back to Butler. They don't switch Green on to Butler. That's interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. Late clock, Butler going to isolate. I don't think that's an advantage matchup for him. Pajemski has to fire, and what a bailout that was.
He did have his feet set, but that was an Eric Gordon-esque, like 5 feet behind the line.
Brooks posting up. Curry trying to keep him out of the lane. Şengün didn't cut. They move it quickly. Van Vliet, that's off the heel. Now the Warriors have transition. Curry finding Butler, goes into Van Vliet. No foul. Butler with the physical finish.
Some good speed and transition there from Jimmy Butler. His energy level, his activity is going to be worth watching, and how many minutes all these guys play.
Brooks off the split cut action, left it short. That's, of course, where Houston's biggest weakness lies, is beyond the three-point line. Butler has Thompson on him. Here's the cut by Pajemski. Kicks it out to Green. Over Van Vliet for three. Not even close. Maybe a little too aggressive there by Green early in the possession.
Yeah, it was like 12 seconds on the clock.
And Green blocks Jalen Green, but there's Şengün cleaning it up. He's got a couple of offensive boards. With Draymond coming over, no one got in front. The missed shots at the rim are the easiest to offensive rebound for that reason. Pajemski on the cut. Butler pops out. Going to try Brooks. Goes into him. Tried to draw the foul instead of finishing, and Brooks was stout. Back to Şengün. Feeling it now. Maybe not the best shot, I would say, there.
It was a clean look, but he's not the greatest at that. I would have looked for something better.
Yeah, they've been getting good looks. Pajemski off the screen, goes to the floater. Couldn't get it to drop.
Should have hooked it.
Şengün directing traffic. They want to get Green the ball against Curry. Taking a while to get into things, though. They're just going to clear out. Green is over in the strong side zone against Jalen Green. No foul called on that chuck initially. Green goes through Curry's arm. Another no call. Curry, I thought, lucky to escape that time without a call. They're letting it be physical early. Green. Curry eludes Brooks. Had to rush it.
I thought he might go with the pump fake there, but Brooks probably would have stayed down.
Now Brooks forced further out on the floor by Curry. Gets it to Şengün. And there again, it's Green. He's waving to his teammates for someone else to come over after he came over initially with Brooks in the post against Curry. Green in the post. They're going to screen for Steph here. Get Jalen Green on him. Şengün not going to pop out. Curry has missed 3 pretty decent looks so far. Thompson going through Moody, leaves it for Şengün. Short floater. Şengün is dominating here early.
And it's not just that dunk. It's getting some of these upper paint shots, but they're in balance, in rhythm. They're not forced. They're not really well contested.
Şengün looking to knock it off of Draymond, but probably not worth a review. But nice start for the Rockets here with Şengün, the best offensive player on the floor early.
Cleaning the glass stats so far. Warriors 62 offensive rating so far overall, and that they haven't had a transition possession. The transition game is going to be such a big story in this one. And I think the Rockets haven't done a ton in true transition yet, but I think that's going to be coming.
Slater reporting that Jonathan Kuminga will be out of the Warriors' initial rotation. Warriors have not gotten really anything at the rim other than that transition play with Butler.
Oh, I'm getting comments from YouTube that the score the time is not on the score thing. I'll keep an eye on that and try to do some time checks for the people on YouTube.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on there. Trying to also be tech support while broadcasting the game is not my favorite.
Yeah. I can handle some time checks until I see it on the YouTube.
Yeah, well, I wanna actually fix it, though.
Ideally, yes. How much of a role do the Warriors centers have in this series? They definitely have one because I think you want to have rim protection against the Rockets. And there will be times that Quentin Post is the good option just because he can space out the floor. But I think Looney, because the Rockets have such limited shooters, I think that there will be places for him in this series.
Alright, I'm gonna try switching feeds to see if that helps. Yeah, interesting. Why are we not on the screen?
On YouTube, I think that we are.
We are not on the screen on YouTube.
Hmm.
Or wait a minute. Okay, no, now we are. Alright. Yeah, it looks like we're just not getting the screen.
What will hurt the Warriors if they just leave Draymond attached to Şengün? They won't be able to have as much rim protection. Draymond takes, especially with this small Warriors group where they're playing basically three guards and Butler as the other players. There isn't really a supplemental rim protection. So if Jalen Green or Şengün or Amen Thompson can get a drive, there won't be as much resistance around the basket.
Alright, well, that didn't change anything. I'm gonna go back to the TNT feed.
Looks like Tari Eason is checking in for the Rockets for a men. That's a sub they do often do. And then Gary Payton coming in for Brandon Pajemski.
Yeah, big thing that sticks out from the shot charts, 4 of 6 in the upper paint for the Rockets. Warriors have gotten up a decent number of threes, all of them above the break, though, and they're 1 out of 7. Will the NBA ever be in 4K like the Super Bowl? It is sometimes on DirecTV. They'll show games on the DirecTV 4K channel. It's like channel 106 or something. Peyton's going to set the screen for Butler. Şengün doesn't want to switch onto him. That leaves Peyton open, but Şengün did well to get back and disrupt that righty floater from the left-handed Peyton.
6-18, 17, 16, 15.
Şengün up top. They want to involve Curry in a pick and roll for Şengün. Almost lost it. Now Şengün is picked up by Curry. Goes to the floater. That's a tough one. Curry again getting away with what might have been a foul.
It looked like a foul to me.
Warriors sending Quentin Post to the table maybe a little earlier than normal. Here's Peyton on the roll. Tripped by Brooks, but a nice cut instead. That all, of course, comes out of Steph Curry being double teamed 28 feet from the basket. And finally, Steph is called for a foul. He's been pretty physical early on here.
Yeah, easily could have been called for fouls at least two other times during the early going. And generally speaking, over the years, the Warriors have benefited from the fewer fouls referees call.
So Steven Adams is in now, as is Quentin Post. Draymond also in. Jimmy Butler sits down. Here's Eason, fires an immediate three. Post trying to box out Adams. Did a good job that time. Warriors will have to gang rebound. Peyton looking to hand back to Steph. Now he'll screen for Steph. Van Vliet right on his back. Peyton takes the above the break three and drains it. He had 2 in the Memphis game.
Gary Payton's offense is going to be such a swing factor. They're going to concede a lot to him, and he can make them, but he doesn't always.
They'll again switch Curry onto Green. He now has one foul. Green working in isolation. Curry, good defense. Post came over nicely to help. That's a play maybe where a better passer would have been able to find Adams. Here's a double team along the sideline. Adams rolls in on Green and tipped away nicely by Moody. It's loose, and the Rockets do have it in the end. Now Van Vliet off the screen from Adams. Adams gets another free run to the glass. That was a physical crash between he and Gary Payton, who he probably has about 100 pounds on. Van Vliet almost got the steal, did get the steal in the backcourt, and it'll be a tie-up. And the shot clock could be, or the 8-second clock could be interesting here. It looks like they ruled that the Rockets did have the ball, and so the 8-second clock should reset, because otherwise...
I don't think they should have. I don't think
Well,
that
I think if it's a held ball, the Rockets have to have possession. Like,
I
that
guess
is
that's
the
true.
definition of a held ball, right? I
Yeah,
think that's the
both
way
teams simultaneous possession. I think you're right.
yeah. Interesting refereeing staff, Ben Taylor and Getritis, both of whom the Warriors have had their issues with in the past. Payton, easy win against the shorter Van Vliet. Green gets it over into the corner. They're going to screen for Curry here with post. Curry blows by his man and finishes. That's going to be a huge swing factor in the series, is whether Steph Curry can make shots inside the arc.
Steven Adams stayed closer to Quentin Post there, so he also was not available as a rim protector.
Yeah, Robbie posting that Van Vliet has a history with Ben Taylor too. I think a lot of people do. Green going to try Payton one. This is where the Rockets offense kills me. Green blows in and does get a ridiculous finish, but they just wasted 10 seconds of the shot clock for no reason. Post. Pass fake, good stunt by Brooks. Post did get it off, but his rhythm was disrupted. Now it's Van Vliet trying to go into Payton. Payton stepped back and got the rebound. Payton's been good so far.
Warriors have been active running. They've even run off makes a few times.
Adams is guarding Payton. They put the smaller guys on post since he's a shooter. Curry screening for Moody. Moody going to go one-on-one against Van Vliet. That's not what they want. And there's the steal. Easton, he's going to have an easy dunk.
And I think some of that was on Draymond Green. He didn't really fight for the ball there, and Tari Eason fought harder, got the steal.
Yeah, and that's it shows you some of the limitations of the Warriors, particularly with Jimmy Butler off the floor. Like, what is the point of throwing it to Draymond Green there? Moses Moody probably should have gone to interact back with Curry or gotten Curry the ball. Curry, though, seemed like he was tired, didn't want to go one-on-one at Jalen Green, but he kind of has to. Like, if Curry's not going to be involved in the action, they're just going to get nothing. So Tari Eason's not worried about having to help on Moses Moody, and he could just go get that steal.
Oh, that's a good question from OK. How long has it been since we recall this collective a healthy start to the playoffs? It's been a while. And we'll inevitably have some in the postseason itself. But I mean, pretty much all of the principals are healthy to start it. I mean, with Lillard returning imminently, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was knocking on wood, and I was going to talk about that on today's show. So good observation. And we've had some scares already. We had Brunson yesterday. We had Donovan Mitchell with an ankle tweak. We had Tatum going down with this wrist thing that he had to get X-rays on.
Edwards.
So yeah, he had, that was just a cramp, thankfully. So, but I'm holding my breath because it's looking like this is going to be an unbelievable playoffs, and all the teams that have guys injured just didn't make the playoffs.
Yes. Injured teams in the Suns.
Well, how many teams would we say didn't make the playoffs this year due to injury? Like Philly, maybe would have to be one, probably.
Yes.
Who else is on that list?
San Antonio would have competed for a play-in spot. New Orleans would have had a chance. I mean, considering how bad the bottom of the East was, you could make a really weird, plausible argument for a couple teams, but not really.
Yeah, Dallas is a good one. Dallas and Atlanta. But I wouldn't say Dallas probably had enough talent where I viewed them as like a possible top 6 West team. Atlanta was never going to be like, I don't feel like the playoffs are so much worse for not having Jalen Johnson and the Atlanta Hawks. Yeah, Rob, what does Houston do with Jabari Smith? Bring him off the bench. He's been underrated with the men's surge lately. I do agree with that. I want to see what's going to happen in this series. Like, they've gotten bigs pretty much. They haven't done much Jabari at center lately. And I will credit Ime Udoka. I was calling for more Jabari at center early in the season. And instead, going through Steven Adams more has really been core to their identity.
For Udoka, the problem is that Amen Thompson has been so good that you kind of have a decision to make. Maybe eventually Jabari, and we got this in the comments, Jabari replaces Dylan Brooks. I don't think that happens at the start of next year.
Yeah, or he replaces Fred VanVleet. And then you just and you make Amen the point guard.
Yeah, Amen and Jalen Green, kind of a two-headed monster. Yeah, that's a possibility as well.
Curry off the screen. Nice cut by Butler. Gets to his spot. And that, again, is a big play for Butler. And this is the double bigs against Curry. I think the anticipation is that they'll take Curry out relatively soon here. But Kerr changing up the rotation slightly to take advantage of that. Butler almost had the steal. Amen gets in the air. This is Eason in the corner. Missed it. Tipped around. Butler tries to stay with it. There's Adams again. Amazing rebound. Şengün against Butler in the post. Quentin Post trying to come over in the strong side. I thought Şengün gave that up too easily without creating an advantage first. Now Eason is stuck, and it's an impossible shot. Oh, what a rebound again by Adams. Hield trying to fight him. Adams looking for Şengün underneath. Adams has beaten Quentin Post for a couple of rebounds. That was a pretty good box out, and Adams still beat him. There's a nice play by Curry. Adams still somehow super glues the ball to his hands, but there's a shot clock violation. Wasn't that just an emblematic possession of just what this series is going to be, Danny?
It is. Nate, somehow you're ahead of me. Your call is ahead of me. I'm trying to figure this out.
Okay, maybe just refresh. Oh, I see what the problem is. I'm looking at I'm ahead of everybody's call because I'm not looking at our I was looking at NBA.com instead of this. Sorry, that is a terrible user error. Yeah. No, I was just looking at the wrong screen. I was watching the NBA.com League Pass feed instead of ours.
That's okay. Well, anyway. Quarter.
Oh, wow. They don't even know who they're guarding. That is an inexcusable error, and they just get lucky, the Rockets, with Hield giving a wide open three. Here's a man going right at Post, who actually stopped him pretty well. Post has been more physical than anticipated as he's moved into the rotation, and now he's going to actually drive it. Goes in, and he's going to get stopped too. Şengün now going to try Post. And Curry got the dig. More turnovers. This is where Golden State can really make their hay. This is Butler. Back to Curry. Splits the double in on, that was Adams there, and he lays it in. Yeah, hopefully I don't get banned for spoilers. It was pretty close. Fortunately, it's not an important point of the game. Smith with the nice turnaround inside.
114, 113, 112, 111.
Curry blow by on Adams. Oh, what a wizardrous finish by Curry. And Ime Udoka needs to talk about it. Curry getting much better looks than what we saw in that game against Houston a couple of weeks ago when he was exhausted, showing the energy to get to the basket, and Golden State right back into it.
It has been a rough three-point shooting start for both teams. The Warriors are 2 of 10. The Rockets are 1 of 6.
So I want to go back to that possession that I spoiled earlier. The Rockets getting 3 offensive rebounds, or I guess it was 2 offensive rebounds of the possessions, 3 shots, all of which then resulted in the shot clock almost expiring and having to force something up. I thought it's like a perfect encapsulation of what this series is going to be.
Yeah, I think that's a completely. I mean, it's just going to be wild to see some of the possession game stats with this so far. And so far, right now, four offensive rebounds, 4 second chance points for the Rockets, 0 offensive rebounds, and thus second chance points for the Warriors.
Well, and that's
NBA's
and that's survivable. 4 second chance points, and that's the big thing we're watching. It's not the offensive rebound, it's really the second chance points more, I would say.
and then fast break points is only 2 to 2.
Yeah.
Rockets have missed a couple. The Warriors have been running, but running off of makes doesn't count as fast breaks. A few other things.
Warriors turnovers, they only have 1 turnover? The
Let me look.
Eason run out? Or how many steals do the Rockets have is probably even
So
the
it's
better
it's
question.
uh, 2 steals, 2 turnovers.
So I want to give Steve Kerr some credit there. He adjusted his rotation to leave Steph in until there was a minute left in the quarter to go against the double big look, and he beat it up pretty badly. Şengün really fighting with posts down there. Here's Thompson going to go at Butler. Not late clock yet. Again, Houston's offense is pretty clunky here. Şengün at the foul line. He's going to have to go to that tough Dirk fade, and he missed it. Great defense there, but that is a pretty ugly ATO if you're Ime Udoka. Butler isolating against Smith across the lane. That's what Butler loves to do. He loves to go across the lane with, that's going to be a cheapo foul on Şengün. Butler loves to go across the lane, just change the help principles, get someone from the weak side reacting to him, and then just throw it to the opposite side or back up top for a three-point shooter.
And Butler there, it wasn't much contact from Şengün, but he knew that the refs saw it because it was the left hand, which is right on the ref's angle, and he was a little off balance, and so it forces you to either give the Warriors a turnover or call out for Şengün's second foul.
So now, where are the points going to come from for Houston?
Looney three?
Butler
No.
wants it in the post against Van Vliet. This is Looney going at Adams, has to go to the tough fadeaway. Adams, man, he looks so good physically. Great to see him back at this level after it seemed like his career was in jeopardy. Van Vliet pressured by Podziemski. A foul is called. This will be a foul to give, however.
The Warriors love doing that foul to give.
Podziemski was not trying to take it, it would appear. Payton coming in for the last 4.5 seconds. Van Vliet's going to trigger it inbounds. Looks like Moody will come in as well. Probably take out post here. Şengün is back in as well. So the Warriors actually had Post and Looney together. I would be shocked if those guys have played a non-garbage time minute together all season. Şengün going at Looney into the lane. Can't finish. Wanted the foul call. Didn't get it. What do you think of this first quarter?
I think that the Rockets offense looked a little bit stagnant at times, which is a concern. And both teams missing threes is worse. That's less reflective of the Warriors than it is the Rockets. So I think the Rockets, I mean, they're definitely have a good chance to win this game, but I would say that the run of play is probably closer to the Warriors than the score.
Yeah, early on it seemed like Houston was kind of having their way. Curry was struggling, but I think it was really good work by Steve Kerr, and it shifted the tenor of this game to leave Curry out there with the two bigs. And he was just splitting guys, getting to the bucket, and that's going to be a nice matchup of can they time the two bigs? Can Ime Udoka get his rotation right? Because he's so limited offensively with some of his options that he's got to be careful that all of his units have the right mix, and he might be hard pressed to just say, "Oh, Curry's out. Now we're going to go to this."
When was from our McIntyre? When was the last time Looney played the four? It's been a long time, and I checked on Cleaning the Glass. Looney and Post never played together.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick break for me here.
Oh, I kind of like that. So Orchid Palace said, "Can we rebrand ATOs as OOTs out of timeouts? One syllable versus three." I'm on board. Udo would also be fun, but that's two syllables. Jake says, unless for some reason the league won't allow it, you guys should add a score bug. It typically has one. There's some sort of sync up issue. So we simulcast from playback to YouTube, and so typically, and other people can attest to this. Typically, there is a score bug on YouTube, but there just is not one right now. We're looking into it as best we can. I'm from Canada. Which team would prefer this to be a low scoring, gross game? I think the Rockets would, because the Rockets can't make it a high scoring game as well. So you want to play on the turf that you're stronger in. And I think for the Rockets, that is grossness. And I don't mean that as a criticism. It's just the nature of it's just the nature of who they have and who they don't have. Opinions on the Shea Jurassic Park commercial? I haven't watched it with sound yet. I've only seen it, and so without sound, it makes no sense. I don't know if it makes any sense with sound.
Any hope for the losers from earlier today? No. I want those series to be over absolutely as fast as possible.
Not to win the series. I think some of them could potentially win a game, but not. I wouldn't expect any of them to win the series without catastrophic injuries.
As Draymond always had this 3-point shooting action, he's been empowered to shoot that more. And remember the big fight that he got in OKC because he got the shoot Walton, and then didn't want him to shoot as many threes. But he was like, "You're making me into a robot," and he really hasn't been comfortable taking him. He might even be too comfortable taking him at this point. He was hitting him at times earlier in the year. It's been pretty broke the last. So. Do I sound bad, Danny?
We're having audio issues for you.
Okay.
Usually it straightens up pretty quickly, but for whatever reason, it didn't right after that timeout. So we'll see if the Warriors can generate.
All right, is that any better?
Yes, much better. There we go.
Any better?
Yeah. I mean, I'll need to hear you talk more, but yes.
Well, sorry about that, guys. Looking to back down on both getting a lot of tickets early.
Nate, the audio issue is still there.
The fuck? All right, hold on.
Oh, now it's better. Wait.
I just had to get annoyed about it.
There we go. It can't. You can't be muted for a swear. It's just that goes full. That goes clean.
All right, is it better now?
Yes.
All right. Level might be a little low. Şengün above the break. They're going to the double big group again without Curry. Thompson backed off, and good box out there by Green on Adams underneath. Green playing a lot of minutes in this first half. Here's the 2-3 zone. This is a pretty good look, I would say, against this Golden State group. Podziemski fires immediately. If you're not getting penetration before these three-pointers, that's usually going to be pretty good against the zone. They don't match up with Van Vliet. Van Vliet can't get it. And
that's Rockets ball. It hit. So? I mean, it looked off Draymond to me. He wants a challenge. I don't know that you use one right now.
Yeah, I think appear to be off of Şengün, actually.
Yeah,
to me.
I think
going
you're right.
The other way, and then he belatedly pointed at Draymond. So it is going to be a challenge. And I think the Warriors will win this one based on the 2 replays I've seen so far.
It looks like it was off Şengün. And the reason that you sometimes don't see these challenged, even if it looks likely, is just because you only get one more, even if you're right, and there's a chance that you're wrong. The swing of an offensive, gaining a possession is valuable, but it is still the first half.
Yeah, it does hit Şengün last here. I'm almost certain.
For Jackie Boone, is there a tracking stat for which players are the best and worst at calling for a challenge? I deeply, deeply want that, but I don't know that there's a good way to do it. I'm not going to ask our friends at Sport Radar or anybody else to do that, but I do. There are a number of tracking.
All right, so what was the result there?
Look, I was talking over it.
I noticed.
The NBA box doesn't have it yet.
Okay.
I will let you all know when I know.
It said the shot clock and the game clock are correct, so that would indicate that it's Rockets ball because that was the initial call. It would have a different shot clock. Todd Whitehead knows who requests bad challenges. Yeah, I'll have to ask him that. That's a good question. Yeah, good to see everyone in the comments going through the sordid history of audio problems on this stream.
I mean, I was muted for I don't even remember how long because it's hard to know that yourself. I was muted for like a few minutes yesterday that I thought I was live. Do you agree with benching Kaminga? Mostly no. There have been some games where I think that it was a little bit where they needed something of a jolt, but overall, I think that the margin between how much I think he should play and zero on this Warriors team isn't that high because he's just such a poor fit with Butler and Green.
Well, this is what I don't understand about that argument, though, is how is Gary Payton so much better of a fit? Now, the answer to that is, well, he's a much better on-ball player, and he's much better as a screener, on-ball defensively, I should say. Like, Kuminga could be those things, but I guess he just isn't.
And he hasn't been good enough defensively, hasn't really embraced kind of the offensive role most of the time. That's a deal for him. He did have that run of like 30 plus scoring games, but the limitations shooting. And I mean, Gary Payton will take the shots that are available to him and won't take really bad shots. And Kerr is, but so I think that Kuminga, the theory of Kuminga, could absolutely fit with this team. I mean, we've seen limited shooters, as you mentioned. Gary Payton is a good example of that. Fit in as non-centers.
Yeah, I mean, this should be Golden State ball here, right? Is that what they ended up calling?
It is Warriors ball.
Yeah. Best retro Rockets jersey. I think just like the classic red ones that they won the 2 championships in. I don't like the ones that they went to after that. I don't like any of that 90s shit. Like, it's just too busy and too ugly. It's like it has nostalgia, but it wasn't even good at the time. Like, it's just too garish. Green, corner 3, missed it that time. He's more effective, I think, from the corners, but Houston's going to let him shoot that until he makes a few, and maybe even after that. Thompson got stuck. His attacks really have not profited at all. Butler, oh, nice job there. He's just so good at crossing the formation like that and just getting people to react to him, even turning their head, and it opens up passing windows. He's just totally under control. He has no intention of scoring on these plays, but he just is able to tilt the defense the way he wants. Now Warriors into a 3-2 zone. I think that's a 3-2. Van Fleet, tough, fading 3. That is not a great shot. Great tip by Butler. Now they throw it ahead post. Let's see what's going to happen here. Butler gets it back. He flies into people, and it's going to be a foul
on Steven Adams. Or you think
Adams?
It's on Amen. You're right. So that is Amen's first foul trouble so far. It's a good reminder. Şengün with 2 is the only person with more than 1.
Yeah, you can see it there. Butler, by just going across, forces Van Vliet and Adams to react to him a little bit, and that leaves no additional defender for Podziemski in the corner. I would say this has been pretty encouraging so far for the Warrior defense and their rebounding.
I agree, especially going against the double big for life. And this is really interesting, Nate. The Kings are going from 2 traditional centers the Rockets from 2 traditional centers to 0. This is now going to be Jabari at the 5.
Yeah, I think this could be pretty effective. And now actually they're going to take out Post and go to Guy Santos.
Even more effective for the Rockets.
So the Rockets now, their plan defensively will be to do a lot of switching there isn't really anyone who's going to beat that, I would say, unless it's going to be playoff Jimmy.
And playing Guy Santos over Jonathan Kuminga, that is not. I mean, Guy Santos shouldn't play in the playoffs either. But like that's egregious to me.
I mean, the big thing he gets taken advantage of is one-on-one defensively, and the Rockets don't really have anyone to do that, and he does hustle and get rebounds and stuff. Warriors staying in this zone defense. Smith falls down, terrible possession. Hield running the lane on the right side. Podziemski throws it back. Santos, Tari Eason is just too good. Tari Eason knew exactly what was happening there. Kicks it out to the corner. Good closeout by Podziemski. Van Vliet gets out of it, into the lane. Brooks gets off a three-pointer up top, and finally Houston makes one to retake the lead.
Going back to the last play, Tari Eason is a great defensive playmaker, and one of the things he is best at is understanding when a guy has a single read and just jumping it.
Yeah, it's a great way to describe it. Butler, Santos can make that corner three, and he does. And that's the other thing. Like, he'll make a spot up three. Kuminga does not make a spot up three. Yeah, Mark says that's too much help on Butler. I agree. Van Vliet getting past Hield. Santos steps up nicely. They move Brooks off the ball. That was a nice play there, but Brooks can't cash it out. Here's Hield in transition. Has Butler behind him. He's got Van Vliet on. Let's see if he tries to attack Van Vliet here. This is interesting. He's going to hold the ball and relax. Now he wants to get a screen to go at, I guess, Smith. No, instead it's Hield. Now, Hield had to move the ball faster there. I know he made that shot, but that was not good process. Like, the moment he didn't have it, he needed to either move it or drive it. Warriors hit a couple of threes in a row, though. See, there's the weakness of Santos as Van Vliet went right by him. Butler just breaks on the ball like a cornerback and vacuums up when it's loose. Podziemski, good job by the Rockets getting back. Green wants the ball. Now they're going to get out of the way and screen for him with Van Vliet. This man. Butler working on Eason, gets to his spot, rises up. Oh, that's a nice finish by Jimmy Butler.
Amen Thompson nearly blocked that from behind. Stats on Butler so far, 10 points, 4 of 6 from the field, 2 of 2 from the line.
Yeah, he's been the best player on the floor, even without it seemingly dominating. But like, for him to be able to go at, I think, what was that, Tari Eason, and just score on him is very encouraging. Van Vliet goes down, no foul. This is Amen into Podziemski, and I think they're going to get the initial foul out on the floor. It'll be a free throws, but not on the rim protection play by Podziemski. Here, let's watch this by Butler. He's just going to rise up, and because he's such a good foul drawer, Ben Taylor had a great video about this a couple years ago. He gets into the lane, he comes to that 2-foot stop, and can go for a pump fake. Guys then don't want to get in the air, and so he can actually rise up over someone who's probably more athletic than him at this point in Eason, because Eason just didn't want to jump.
That's also 0 for 3 on free throws so far from Amen Thompson.
And the Warriors win the non-Curry minutes by quite a bit. And Amen gets his own rebound, but then throws it away. Warriors can get transition here. Amen slow back into the play here. Santos on the drive, and he's hacked. And Santos making a difference here early with a great run. Those are the things he does. He'll move the ball quickly, make open threes, rebound, and run the floor really hard.
We've seen this sales pitch. And I mean, I criticized that Santos was playing over Kuminga, but the stuff he has done is things that Jonathan Kuminga hasn't done consistently.
Yeah, now in a Lakers series, Kuminga is a better fit because he's not necessarily going to get attacked one-on-one the way that Santos would. Santos in a Lakers series would get called up every time. This is a long time, by the way, Danny, with no Şengün and no Jalen Green on the floor, and the Rockets are really struggling to generate offense. They've got 26 points almost 18 minutes into the game. They finally do have Jalen back in. Did he just come back in, or did I miss his return?
I think he just came back in. I'll have to take a look.
Hield is now guarding Green. They move it to Smith. There's another steal. Draymond came off the strong side corner. Zero spacing for the Rockets right now. Curry going to go into the corner. They're going to look to bring him out of that corner. Butler trying to hand off to him. Instead, in the corner, Draymond. Curry back door. Oh, what a pass that was! Unbelievable look! and catch by Curry. Brooks had no idea it was coming. That was one of the best passes I've seen this season. Look at this.
There was almost no window for that pass. Like that was, and Draymond throws a lot of bad ones, but he also throws a few like that are just absolute perfection.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. And I would say there, part of the problem, this is something that Thomas DeSallo talked about, was there just not enough pressure on the passer there. He can't throw that pass if you get up on it more. And they're a little worried about, if he sets a screen or something, I got to switch onto that guy. So you don't want to pressure him, but he's dead in the corner. There's no reason not to provide more pressure when they're doing some split cut stuff like that, because you're never going to defend that perfectly, especially if it's Steph and Butler, two really smart guys who have a lot of things that they can do. But you pressure up the passer and he can't throw that seeing eye type of look. Not watching, but it seems like Jalen Green needs to be more aggressive. Well, he's got to be in the game for that. Did he, in fact, just come back in?
I'm going to look.
Yeah, he just came in at 6:43.
Yeah, between the amend free throws. So, yeah, he was out for a while. If the Warriors want to trade Kuminga in the offseason, possible the Kings would trade Keegan for him. No, for a couple reasons. One is that they need Keegan Murray for this iteration of the Kings. The other is there are some really big challenges logistically for the Warriors trading Jonathan Kuminga in a sign-in trade, the biggest of them being base year compensation. And so Keegan Murray on a rookie scale deal, that would get a little bit tricky for the math for both teams.
Yeah, and that's why ultimately, Danny, I believe Kuminga will be back. With all this shit, they need him to be matching salary for another trade. They don't really have anyone else. I mean, I would, unless they, bring back like Looney, Peyton on like even more than they're making now. I mean, I think the Warriors will probably, assuming that they make it at least to the second round, will probably be a second apron team again next year. And they can go 2 years, and then that gives them enough matching salary to go get, a Lauri Markkanen or someone else who would become available, and then Kuminga could be the matching salary and maybe even be an asset, although I'm interested to see what he's willing to sign. But, I'm thinking something along the lines of like mid-20s, kind of similar deal to Jalen Green, but maybe not quite as much annually.
Yeah, I think that's about right. And they could also potentially, I mean, the offer sheet dynamic versus whether they agree to a contract with him, because maybe they would agree to it. They would agree to a structure if he's sitting out there a little bit. That would be a little bit more in annual value, but maybe have something on the back end that another team would be interested in. Like they could, like a team option or a partial guarantee or something like that.
Which team is the best TV timeout Arena Entertainment? I've never hated a question that we've gotten on this playback worse than that
I will say one that I truly enjoy. Every once in a while, the Orlando Magic have their mascot who I can't remember his name is Magic or something like that. He does actual magic, which is delightful. Like that. First of all, it's very on brand. Second of all, it was actually like relatively good. That one was fun. And Red Panda is not a
yeah, that's halftime.
That's halftime. Halftime is different, and those also aren't arena specific. That is those acts go all the way around.
No, and I really sympathize. You guys read that story about Joe Ingles' son who's autistic, like not being able to go to a game. It's like there's just no fucking reason for it to be this loud.
I agree.
Like who wants that?
Were you at the Warriors game when the sound wasn't working and so they had no like in-game?
I really, it's a miss.
It was phenomenal.
This is great switching here, but Van Vliet finally, he's such a good late clock operator, bails out a terrible possession again, but that was great switching and peel switching there by Butler and Santos. So Curry gets Green onto him. Now they want to involve Şengün. Pick and pop. Santos, corner Butler. Good rotation by Şengün all the way from the top. That was awesome. Butler takes the mid-ranger over him. Never really tried him.
5-17, 16, 15, 14.
Now this is one where Jalen Green should go at him. I would actually rather he go at Santos as Houston than Curry. Green, tough step back three. And yeah, I mean this Houston offense is just not going to be good enough, and that's why I ultimately, despite my reservations, picked the Warriors because I just didn't think Houston would be able to score on them. Like the Warriors' defense has been really good. Butler going to back down on Van Vliet here. Does the double come? No, he steps through. Oh, left it short. Tried to tip it back, but Şengün disrupted it. That's one Jimmy wishes he had back. That was a good look. Now no one ever picks up Şengün, and that's actually a pretty good foul there, I would say, by Santos.
It prevented Draymond from being called for a foul, and the Warriors, that's only their second, so they're not in any particular difficulty here.
Can we delay the stream 15 seconds to align it with my TV feed? I forget if playback has that feature, but you can do that on YouTube actually.
Yeah, if our stream is ahead of yours, I'll put the YouTube link in the playback chat. You can put there's a pause button on that, so that's probably your best solution there.
So Butler getting another break here. Van Vliet off the screen. Şengün goes to the floater and scores. That was all because Van Vliet was able to get open on Moody. Draymond had to tilt over just enough. Oh, and then they throw it away against the pressure. Draymond and Curry just not working hard enough to get open, and nobody turned around to help him out.
Oh, I had not noticed the Rockets logo in Dylan Brooks' hair. Okay, noted.
Yeah, Steph just not really trying hard enough to get open, and then Green, I don't know why he threw it to him. He wasn't open. Screen away here for Jalen Green. Curry forces him back door. Şengün had him open, didn't look that way. Instead, he tries to go through Draymond's arm. Oh, nice box out by Santos, but not a good box out by Curry. Let's see if they can actually get a second chance point here. Şengün going to the spin. Draymond walls up beautifully. Now Van Vliet has to go to the tough fadeaway as the shot clock winds down. And there's another
Another
offensive
rebound.
rebound, and they score. This dynamic is hilarious. Warriors got to get a timeout here as Houston starting to play some bully ball inside, and it's within 6 straight points for Houston. That's an avalanche in this game.
Houston now 7 offensive rebounds, 6 second chance points, 0 for the Warriors, but that does help swing the possession game. The Rockets so far have taken 36 shots and they've taken identical 4 free throws. The Rockets have missed all 4 of their free throws. They've all been men, but still. Warriors 4 of 15 from 3, Rockets 2 of 11.
So, want to remind everyone, if you're on YouTube or if you're on playbacks, hit that little bell notification to let yourself know when we go live. We'll be doing it throughout the playoffs. Also, I'm going to throw our calendar, which doesn't have any further entries in it right now. We'll discuss that after this game is over. But we do have a Google Calendar that if you subscribe to it, it'll just show up in your calendar when we're going to be doing one of these streams.
Thoughts on Buddy Hield for this series / playoff run? He's too flawed defensively and hasn't been a consistent enough shooter to be more than a backup, but he'll be in the rotation. I think that's kind of an appropriate level for him. He's not a better overall player to me than Moody or Podziemski, so he shouldn't start over them. So, play 15, 20 minutes a game.
All right, going to get the calendar link in the chat for y'all.
Quickly from Kanata, if you dropped KD on the Rockets, would their offense be good enough for a high-level playoff matchup? To me, no. I don't think he generates enough. He's a better converter of shots than generator of shots.
Yeah, a couple of ugly turnovers by Golden State, and then they couldn't get possession after the offensive rebound, too. Curry stepping through on an impossible leaner.
And this is another really limited shooting group. Gary Payton II and Looney out there together.
Yeah, Draymond getting a little rest. Butler headed to the table right now. Podziemski picking up Şengün, forces him to spin. Now he's going to back in on Looney. Hook shot, rims in.
Looney didn't pick up Şengün early enough there. Şengün was just dribbling. Just walk up to him. What's he going to do?
Yeah, I thought he really backed off into the paint there for not a huge reason because Podziemski, maybe he thought Podziemski was going to stay with him. Podziemski, terrible. Didn't have any steam on that pass and got it deflected. Here's Jalen Green. That's going to be a blocking foul. Oh, that's a
terrible call.
Horrendous call. Podziemski gets so many charges. He didn't make the shot, so maybe not worth a challenge. But let's see. I think he jumps sideways here. Yeah, I
He
mean,
doesn't. He
it's just
doesn't.
a glancing blow. He's
He
not in
doesn't
front
take
of
it in
him.
the chest.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, by the technical rule, like I've been educated on this, that you don't necessarily have to take it in the chest. If the guy gets himself into a position where he tries to jump around you but can't, but by avoiding contact, because there's yet another Warrior turnover. Brooks going to go at Looney, and Looney stopped him. Şengün way over the back of Podziemski. He wanted to call. Podziemski wanted to call. Play on. Butler wants to go at Jalen Green. Down to 12 on the shot clock. Butler attacking Green along the baseline. Şengün came over to help. Podziemski in an awkward area. Wasn't close. Şengün going to try Looney one-on-one. You do see the massive difference, though, Danny, between what Şengün can do offensively versus what Sabonis could do offensively against Looney 2 years ago. Oh, what an inside-out dribble by Curry. Broke the ankles of Van Vliet. Woo!
Woof.
Now Curry picks up Green. He wanted someone else to get him. They didn't. And Green blows to the rim. Left it short. Looney's rim protection's been good. Curry on the push. Going to go up. And he's thrown it away again. Lucky to recover it is Moody. Looney looking to interact with Curry. Now in the corner. Butler has Şengün. Is he going to take him here?
Try to
Warriors
get the third.
space this out well. No help coming. Butler stepping through. No advantage. Gets it back. Late clock. Fights his way in. And somehow that is such a playoff Jimmy Butler possession. Just terrible shot, terrible process, but like somehow he makes it. Never would go in the regular season. Good pressure by Looney on Şengün. I mean, Şengün just going to try to attack off the dribble. They go under. This is to get Şengün a little bit of a runway. Almost turned it over. Podziemski had no idea the ball was there. It gets tipped to Butler. Podziemski, nope. Curry just lost it, and we're going to get a tripping foul. And hopefully Steph is okay here. Yeah, he is. He was. Looks like he got tripped. I was worried maybe something happened with the ankle there, but let's see what happened. So Brooks got him from behind. Is that like way back there?
Is that like the reverse of a pass and crash?
So this end of the half, a big danger zone for Houston. Curry, oh, they just lost him. He's made some shots from that spot before in Houston.
And now it's a double-digit lead for the Warriors. The Rockets have 34 points.
That's where they tortured him. PJ Tucker at the end of that game 6 in 2019. Another miss on the 2-for-1. Butler on the push. Back screen for Looney for Curry on the near side. Butler looking for Curry. Looney going to get set up a Butler screen for Curry, and that's a push from Jabari Smith Jr. out of that split cut action. Butler had that going the entire time. Watch them just miscommunicate here. Green didn't react. Thompson got there. We have not called Amen Thompson's name on Steph Curry. Hardly at all.
No, and Draymond Green has been out to this point. I'm assuming he's going to come in because this now becomes a defense-only possession. But he's been out for a little while now, at least 3 minutes.
Butler has been iffy at the foul line these last little bit. Green does return. Payton is in two. Curry will sit down. So this is a pretty good defensive unit here for Golden State. But Butler, he's been awesome, but he needs to actually make his free throws. Yeah, rimmed that one in. 47-34. Moody is matched up against Van Vliet. They've got Payton on Green. Şengün's going to come up to set the screen. Warriors take a foul to give for little purpose, I would say. But good job by Van Vliet going early to force him to take it. But now they can set up something a little more intricate on the sideline out of bounds. Here they go into Şengün. Şengün looking for Green to come out of the corner. Peyton stays with him. Green late clock down to 3. Has to force it up and just rims it out. That was actually a pretty good attempt from that position, but Houston didn't have many good attempts at all in this first half. 47-34. We'll be back for the second half.
74 offensive rating for the Rockets.
All right, I spent half time working with ChatGPT to try to figure out why it is that my microphone sucked for 30 seconds after I muted. Is this any better?
It. I think it went through. I think it's going through the same thing again.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll keep talking and hopefully it'll figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah. There's I'll keep working on it, and I'll also just
But now it's better.
not
Yeah.
mute it. Yeah. It's remarkable how it just all I have to do is keep talking. All right. So Warriors have the first possession of the second half, leading by 13, and Houston held the Warriors to 47 points. That's pretty good, right?
I mean, it would be outside of the other context. And the Warriors below a point per possession, first shot, half court offense. Didn't get out in transition that much, but you have to actually score to win.
Butler shooting set for Moody, guarded by Şengün. Şengün guarded him pretty well, but he's going to get called for his third foul. Just wasn't able to avoid the hack at the end.
And I mean, Şengün was in position. Just trust your size there. Stand there. Put your arms up. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I think Houston needs to lean into their roles as agitators a little bit more and try to get the crowd into it. Try to reestablish a mentality that being the tougher team is going to take them through here. It's not exactly going to put the ball in the basket, but maybe you can get the Warriors rattled, or even more so just fire themselves up. I think their offense is starting to hurt their effort level. 4-on-4, Green guarded by Moody. Butler went for the steal, and he reached in on Şengün, and that foul call actually saved the Warriors 3 points. That's one of Butler's favorites, when the post player at the elbow has his back to him, trying to sneak up from behind and knock the ball away.
Oh, come on, Nate. It might only save the Rockets Warriors 2.5 points, considering the 50 offensive rating the Rockets have in the half court.
Is that really what it is?
It is exactly 50.
Wow. Here's Green, and he's going to get shoved from behind by Moses Moody. I think this will be a non-shooting foul.
We'll see. I think it should be a non-shooting foul. I don't think he had gathered at that point. Also, 2 fouls early that could get the Rockets into the bonus, but they haven't generated a ton of free throws overall in this game. Both teams, I believe, to this point, only have about 4.
Yeah, this will be called a shooting foul. I guess you can argue, well, what was he doing if he wasn't picking the ball up to shoot there, but it seemed pretty early. Green hitting the first free throw. See if that can get him on track. The Warriors superstars have had the run of it so far. 7 of 10 from the field for Steph. He's got 5 2-point makes. That's been huge. 16 points. There's another free throw offensive rebound, and Green gets the layup. That's a killer for Golden State. Second offensive rebound for Houston off a missed free throw. Dylan Brooks has the matchup against Butler. Van Vliet is guarding Draymond Green. Şengün is on Moody. Moody is going to try to screen away here, and they're going to get a hold on Brooks as Green was trying to work in a position to set up the split cut action. And
this was a relatively low foul first half, so I think this is refs trying to get it back. It's a frequent thing that that refs talk about things at halftime and they're just trying to call it a tighter game.
So Şengün is on Moody, and Moody setting a lot of these screens. Steph backdoor. Şengün too late. He beat Thompson.
And that was one of the first times we've said Amen Thompson's name on defense, and is not in the positive.
Yeah, but his job is to topside Steph and take away that handoff, so there should be help behind. Green barrels into Draymond Green, nothing doing. Curry proceeds to the corner. Van Vliet just gives him a nice little love tap. And Jimmy Butler says, hey, get Şengün over here into the action. Now Podziemski. He's going to hold the ball for too long and then shoot a 3. Missed it. And rebound. Jimmy Butler. He's claimed that he was shooting the ball. Are they going to give him a shooting foul here? This is absurd. No, the foul takes place before he starts.
He had his back turned.
If he gets free throws out of this, I will be apoplectic. No,
Good.
I mean that's a foul, but it's not free throws. Thank God they didn't call that. Pajemski, Şengün did well getting back to Moody. Now, see, like Pajemski just stays on the ball for too long. I know he made that three, but like that's not his game, is to go one-on-one. Warriors have gotten a couple of three-pointers out of those hold the ball too long plays. Hield had one earlier. But they're a good shooting team. The Rockets are not. This is Brooks working on Butler. Not an advantage matchup. Picks up his dribble. Draymond made him do it. Now it's Şengün against Pajemski. Help coming over. Şengün goes to that tough floater. Goes and gets his own rebound, though. Sets up Jalen for three. Missed it. Another offensive rebound. Jalen Green into Moody. And it goes right to Thompson. That's another offensive rebound, technically, I would say. They've got Jalen Green on Butler. Draymond realizes it immediately. Split cut action for Curry. Oh, Green was open. Instead, Butler blows past. Thompson bothered him, though. Good rotation from Amen Thompson, knowing he was guarding Draymond. Late clock. Butler's going to try Amen. Goes to the fadeaway. Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, that looks really good.
And that's one of the best defensive players in the league. Jimmy Butler, we just didn't see a whit of this in most of his time in Golden State. And since that Clippers game, he's been aggressive Jimmy again. Backdoor Brooks blew the layup. Another offensive rebound. Finally, they get it to a good shooter. Van Vliet can't catch out. Good job by Curry. He's going to push it up, but it's 1-on-4. He's going to go right in. And he was not close. He thought he was going to get a foul. That call hasn't been there for either team, really. Şengün backing down. Goes to the hook shot over Draymond. And because he got a nice little running start, he's able to get to his spot. Rockets haven't done much in transition, but Curry's wild attempt gave him the advantage.
8-22, 21-20.
Good job by Jalen Green getting through the screen. Pajemski runs his man over to the sideline. Oh, and then he slipped out of it. Terrible communication. Green looking at Brooks saying, hey, what are we doing here? But that was, they had nothing going there, and they got a system bucket layup out of it. Trying to get Van Vliet on the handoff. Pajemski is right there. No advantage. Now Şengün has to create against Draymond Green. Bludgeons into him. No call.
Great no call there.
Yep. Green was there, and he just stood him up. I like that Draymond doesn't have to fall down there to get the call, that he can actually stand him up. Pajemski back to Butler. Gets the screen. Now
to
Curry
put a
is
man on him?
by Van Vliet. They're going to shoot a three. Butler is lighting up Amen Thompson, and it's a 20-point Golden State lead.
I mean, that seems almost insurmountable for this Rockets offense.
I would say maybe not, just because they can like get a bunch of steals and stuff and maybe get back into that way. But I agree with you. It's not good.
If they get 6 quarters, they could score 60 points.
I'm really glad I didn't pick the Rockets in this series.
I'm a little bit pissed.
I'm glad, because my heart, after seeing that game in person, I'm like, man, what Golden State is just getting overwhelmed. They can't score. And I had to remember what a schedule stretch they were coming off of, and that Houston still just was never going to be able to score against them in the half court. And also that they largely have played pretty well against these guys in the last little bit. So it's not like Steph has just been like not able to do anything against them. And I still think Houston's being heard from in this series, but I think you had even more concerns about the half court offense of the Rockets.
Always have. How portable do you think this style that the Rockets team plays is? This is from SOKC. Do the Magic have enough size and athleticism to offensive rebound transition their way to a competent offense? It's very difficult. I mean, so to get to a top 10 is hard. To get to a top 15 is actually plausible. The Raptors did it a few years ago too. But the bigger problem is, what is that team? So it's a very much a regular season construct. You get less You get simultaneously, you get less in transition just because teams get back more, but also you're going to be playing better offensive teams because the bad offensive teams don't make it to the playoffs. So you can argue that being a of potentially maybe a second round team, that's better than the expected value for a number of franchises. I think that's fair. But to me, identifying a good young team that is their strategy is identifying that they need a talent, that they need a talent upgrade. That's why I've criticized the Magic for not doing that. The Rockets have a little bit more time because their guys are young and they need a little bit to sort out. They have the resources. But if that's what you're going to, then the actual question, it's sort of like when you fire your coach, you should always be asking, should I fire my GM? If you're trying to go to that approach, it's what else should we be doing? Because the answer is there's always something else.
Yeah, and for the Magic, Franz and Paolo, those guys are stars. That's your 3 and your 4. They're not going to be like awesome offensive rebounders. You probably need more of a stretch option at center, particularly given how limited they are shooting from the outside. Carter is not that sort of an offensive rebounder. Isaac is never going to be that sort of an offensive rebounder. And also consider that to get to a top 10 offense, Houston, with that model, had to be the best offensive rebounding team that we've seen. And they have the best offensive rebounder probably of this generation in Steven Adams.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point.
So, Houston, is there anything that they could be doing differently, personnel-wise, scheme-wise, you think?
Not much. I mean, I see the thing is I'd be interested in like doing some stuff with Jabari, but Jabari Smith Jr. hasn't been good enough offensively in his NBA career to think that that's going to solve things. Like there was intrigue on what he could be when he was drafted, but he just hasn't been that guy. So like the difference between Jabari and like Dylan Brooks on offense isn't big enough.
Yeah. There's good pressure by Moody. Pajemski comes over there in the zone, trying to post up Eason. Oh, what a play by Draymond. He just backed off of Şengün and baited him into the pass and stole it. Draymond has been awesome. Rockets trying to up the pressure defensively right now. That's really the only way they're going to do it. Curry being topsided by Green. They finally get it out to him. Curry hasn't been heard from much in the half court here. It's been Jimmy. Here's Curry working on Jalen Green. He's got to go to an impossible fading 3, and it goes in. This guy is just ridiculous.
Incredible. I mean,
a couple of times a game, he just makes you agog. Eason goes into Draymond. I was surprised Draymond wasn't a little more on his right hand on that one, but still a tough finish. Curry off the dribble against VanVleet. He senses the kill here. This will be a non-shooting foul.
But I think that's the 4th on the Rockets.
They're in the bonus now, yeah.
Yeah.
This is insane. I mean, how does it... that's even more ridiculous of an angle. How does he get it off so quickly, so high in the air? I have no idea how that didn't get blocked. Look at Keith Santos on the bench. I have the same reaction right here. It's unreal.
Incredible. Oh, and that was their 5th foul. I miscounted.
Yeah, the score actually is wrong right now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Now it's 66-43, I believe is correct. Let me check.
Okay. I thought they had more points to this. It was 60. I thought it was 64. No, I guess he hit that 3 to make it 64. So sorry about that. And they're going to get a little cheapo here. Rubber band effect in effect.
And that is the 3rd foul on the Warriors, I believe. And I'll try to do a timestamp for the YouTubers when we get back.
Yeah, remind me next commercial. I want to talk about why we have to have the ads on the YouTube, which I understand is annoying some people, and understandably so. Here's Şengün. Double team comes from Payton. They still get out on VanVleet. Got it partially blocked, but then there's another turnover, and Eason cleans it up. when the Warriors have actually gotten the ball over half court,
It's gone pretty
they've
well.
been dominating.
554, 53, 52.
Curry switched on to by Eason. Good pre-switch. And I'm interested to see, Danny, would they consider going Şengün on Butler here?
Like the
I,
Grizzlies did?
I actually thought that worked okay.
I think it did too.
Right now they're putting him on Peyton. I would also consider I might want to put Şengün on Green instead of Peyton, because Peyton is actually like a better finisher at the rim and screener, I think, than Draymond at this point. The Draymond Steph pick and roll game hasn't been used that much. Eason went for the steal, couldn't get it. This is Moody forcing it up, not close.
Not
Good
quite
defense.
as good as Steph's.
No. Yeah, that's a really tough one to shoot too. Going to your left, it's really tough to get your body behind it. Yeah, another little cheap foul here. This is kind of the referees trying to prevent this from getting out of hand, but also I think there's just a human feeling that to protect the team that's getting their ass kicked. Green going at Steph. Draymond comes over, forced it to the corner. 3-pointer by Eason. Butler, what a sky, but it goes right to Brooks. Draymond blocked it, and Brooks goes flying for a foul. And Butler got up for that tip, but it ended up going right to Brooks.
Well, and Jimmy mistimed it a little bit. Let's take a look at Draymond here.
Yeah, he got him right in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Houston Rockets, Danny, are 2 of 16 from 3. Is that bad?
Well, yes, it is. And that's making this look a little worse than it is, but it is pretty bad. I mean, that the Rockets also, like the other things, I think this is going to be their 7th and 8th free throw attempts of the game. So they're not getting those. They're not really scoring too much off the offensive rebounds.
Doesn't help that they're 3 of 8 from the line either.
Well, and it doesn't help that the Warriors have scored more points off the Rockets turnovers than the Rockets have off the Warriors. The actual turnovers are pretty close.
Yeah, Warriors have 9 steals. Rockets have 7. Almost threw it away again. And Houston's defense has still been pretty good, but maybe they think about bringing more pressure on Steph and Jimmy, because those guys have combined now for over 40 points. Double team on Steph. There's Peyton on the release. Oh, he had Butler, who just didn't quite have his hands ready.
Yeah, I think that was also a little bit too hard of a pass from Peyton.
But that's actually an indication of why I might put Şengün on Draymond. I also think Peyton's actually a better shooter at this point. But obviously the Steph Draymond pick and roll has killed people for a while, but I think Draymond has really fallen off in terms of his ability to do stuff off the dribble. Şengün on the back down, 19-point game. Şengün got trapped against the baseline. Peyton did an awesome job of guarding 2 there.
Yeah, and understanding that there weren't many angles, many people for that pass to go to, and just basically had the route. He couldn't steal it, but he could knock it out.
I would try to get the Van Vliet Şengün pick and roll going here with Hield guarding Van Vliet. Şengün's going to have to just force it up along the left baseline, and he makes one to match Curry's.
You know, there hasn't been much found money for the Rockets, but they get some there.
Yeah, Warriors haven't gotten a shot on goal in a while here. Şengün has been the one constant, and Steve Kerr is going to get a timeout to see if they can dial something up to break the drought as it's down to 16. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about the ads. Someone asked me about this on Twitter. Basically, if we don't enable ads on YouTube, there's no reason for YouTube to have us show up in the algorithm for anybody. And we'd like to try to have more people know about this show. And we're not really making any money off of this right now, so it's fun to do. And I think it helps the analysis, but we're trying to build this up to where we get more people involved in this. Another option would be that maybe we try to make these private for Dunked on Prime subscribers. I might look into some options to do that too, but I've had a lot on our plate lately, so I apologize that we're maybe a little disjointed early on in the presentation here. But that's why we're doing that, because I trying to build this up a little bit. Our YouTube game has not been good enough. We got to improve that. That's why it is like it is. I realize it's an annoyance, but also you can go with the playback or back, or if you have YouTube Premium, I don't think you'll be subjected to the ads. Better if we watch on here or YouTube. Playback is probably better, I would say. But always appreciate a like and subscribe and the hitting the bell for the notifications on either platform.
From Kanata, other than OKC, are there any defenses in the West that you like better against the Warriors than Rockets? No, the Rockets have a very good group. Minnesota can be good defensively, but the Rockets.
What about the Clippers?
Ooh, I mean Harden and Powell playing big minutes.
Yeah,
I
I
think the
mean
Warriors
Dunn causes more problems for Curry, I would say, than any one specific defender.
and Zubats is the kind of rim protector that bothers them sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would go for me. I would go Rockets over Clippers narrowly.
But I think the big thing about the Rockets is that they just haven't really had great rim protection, and that's what Zubats provides. And
Mm-hmm.
as we've talked about so many times, that's really what makes things difficult for this Golden State team. That's why I think Golden State I would favor them against the Lakers.
I agree. I would too. How good can Brandon Pajemski be at his peak? I don't believe that he'll ever be a dominant on-ball guy. I don't think he has the juice, the shake, or the passing to really do that. But as a complementary, shooter and defender, I think that he won't really move beyond this role. But this role is a good one for him on the Warriors, where they have these other players who can fill some of the big gaps. But I've been lower on Pajemski than the general. I mean, he's talented, of course, but the ceiling for me is relatively low. RJ says Derek White. He's not nearly the defender that Derek White is, and Derek White's he's competing with John Wall as the best rim protecting, and probably D-Wade is the best rim protecting guards of all time.
Yeah, that steal by Draymond was just Draymond has been really, really good in this game. So Warriors need to get a bucket here to stay in control. They're actually got Steph in the opposite corner, now guarded by Brooks. Amen is out of the game. Looney hands it back to Butler. They're going to screen for Steph off of Looney. Brooks stays with him. Steph still working on Brooks. Tough fader is good. Woof.
It's a couple of Curry shots where the Rockets did nothing wrong, and you just made it. And you just have to grin and bear it sometimes.
So Adams is in now. No double big lineup with Curry on the floor. So they got Ime Udoka out of that when Steph was blowing to the basket. Here's Adams getting along the baseline again. Man, Steven Adams just looks so good physically right now.
He's moving really well, and he looks pretty trim too.
Steph attacking Eason. Eason stays with him. Hield looking to get it back to Steph. Late clock. Eason got it out of Steph's hands, and now Hield's going to have to isolate. This is a terrible possession. Yeah, give it to Gary Payton with 2 on the shot clock. Hield got it off, didn't hit the rim. That'll be a shot clock violation. But Eason made that play by staying with Steph in the initial action. And then Buddy Hield, both he and Pajemski are too bad at this, I think. He needs to realize that he should never even start dribbling. Or if you dribble, change sides of the floor, go interact with Butler. Or try to get into the post for some split cut action or something. The possession just went to die there. He doesn't have an advantage on Van Vliet. Adams looking to get Brooks on the handoff. Hield ran right into the screen. Brooks finishes. No, missed it. Adams, God, the ball just does not leave his hands once he gets those mitts on it. Rockets going to be late clock again here off the offensive rebound. Brooks fires the 3. Looney got out there. Adams went right to the boards. Oh, yeah,
he's
got the ball again. Don't worry. You are not taking the ball out of his hands. Here's Van Vliet. And he finally finishes. How many of those sequences have we had where Houston has just gotten multiple offensive rebounds? They're up to 14 second chance points, and what does Adams have? Like 6 or 7 offensive rebounds now? Butler into the lane. Back to Looney looking for Steph. No, Hield instead. Steph went down. Hield missed the jumper. Steph tried to draw the foul in the screening action. Brooks going to try Stephen Curry backing down. And Steph's called for the chuck.
And I believe that's going to be free throws for Dylan Brooks. I think that's the 5th on the Warriors.
It's a nice drive here by Van Vliet. Butler went for the strip. I thought if he had just contested that, he might have forced a miss. Let's see if this is a foul. Yeah, it is. It is. He hit them on the, like, generally, if you're leaning forward and reaching as the contact occurs, you're going to hit something. Yeah, Steph Curry, a devastatingly efficient game right now. 25 points, 10 of 14 from the field.
And only 2 turnovers.
Yep, only 2 turnovers.
And I was thinking of like, oh, the Warriors are a little bit stressed. It's tied to 13, but 13 was the margin at halftime as well. It's 21-21 in the third quarter so far.
Yeah, Warriors only have 2 points in the last 350, though. And I think more of Steph on the ball would have been good here. Brooks went down, and what is this going to be?
I think Jimmy Butler just drew another foul.
I was looking down towards the baseline. I missed what happened on the ball.
I think he got bumped by, who was that? By Jabari.
Yep. Now that Steph is out, Şengün is at the table to join Steven Adams, you would think. Yeah, this group is one that is going to struggle to score, you would think. Butler has been awesome, except at the foul line. Again, struggling to make shots.
Yeah, Butler at this point, he's 3 of 5 on free throws. He's missed 2.
Yeah, I like this sub here. It's interesting. Yeah, they're going double big here to match up with the double bigs, Post and Looney. Butler at the 3, Podziemski and Hield round out the backcourt. And meanwhile, Houston is massive as well. They've got Jabari Smith at the 3, Eason at the 2. This is a lot of size on the floor.
I think I'd rather have Jalen Green be the ball handler in this rather than Van Vliet.
Yeah. Yeah, Green has done nothing here. Van Vliet pulls the 3 against the drop coverage. Hield got the steal. Beautiful read by him. Look out for Butler. Stopped by Eason. What a read by him.
Tari Eason's had a wonderful defensive game.
Back up top, Van Vliet not shy. Man, he's been off, though. Good rundown by Hield. Oh, he lost it.
Lost it.
Pressure from Adams again.
A team offensive rebound for Houston. They're up to 15 offensive rebounds, 14 points off of them to 5 for the Warriors.
That's an incredible block. Look at that. I mean, he is not even facing the right way as the pass goes up. Now Şengün going out post, and he's bridged. He'll get to the foul line. Houston slowing the game to a crawl, getting to the foul line, getting the offensive rebounds as Golden State continues to fiend for a bucket as more people getting involved here. I think Podziemski was just trying to listen to their huddle. Yeah, it's noted in the comments, Van Vliet has to make these shots. Absolutely. He's wide open on these. Like, that's a real struggle if he's not going to make any of those. Houston's now 3 of 20 from downtown.
Steven Adams cleans the glass, and he cleans the floor.
Şengün gets the first free throw. And Amen Thompson is in now, too. This is 3 total non-shooters out there for Houston. And
Oh,
there's a missed free throw.
nearly got
Podziemski
another offensive rebound off a missed free throw.
pushing it up. They're going to the 2-3 zone. Podziemski will just fire. Post tried to keep it alive. Yeah, you're not taking it out of that guy's hands. Adams, they look to get it to Şengün in the post. Good front by Quinton Post to prevent it from getting down there. Hield arriving in an awkward area. He thinks that this is Warriors ball. 6 on the shot clock. So get ready to defensive rebound if you're the Warriors. Good job denying the ball inbound by Post. Butler is on Van Vliet. Van Vliet working on him. Goes to the fadeaway. Air ball. Rebound. Another rebound. Bottled up and a foul on Looney. This will be more free throws for Houston.
It's incredible. I mean, so let me look at how many that's credited now. So that's 17 individually credited offensive rebounds, and yeah, actually there aren't any. They're not listing any team ones, but that's ridiculous.
Well, they had two. Yeah, they have 2 team offensive rebounds. Yeah, do you recommend he miss this one intentionally, Danny?
No, because their offensive rebound off of them isn't that good. Their offensive rating isn't that good. Better to get the 1 point, the 1 point in hand versus the like half, 3/4 of a point.
Yeah, after all this, Houston has actually outscored Golden State in this quarter. They have 24 points. Golden State, I don't think, has scored more than 2 points in like the last 5 minutes. They're going to bring in Santos here, interestingly. Looney goes out. More of an offensive group with Golden State a chance to get 2 for 1 here. Curry is returned as well.
The Warriors have scored 1 point in the last 3 minutes, and they've scored 3 in the last 6, basically.
Post fighting with Adams. Adams just threw him out of the way. Jimmy Butler didn't elect to pinch down. So a 15-3 walk by Houston. They try to get a screen for Butler. They are not going to try to screen for Curry. Butler just going to go right at his man, Eason. He got to his spot and got a great look. Adams again vacuums it in. 7-second differential. Smith blows by Eason and lays it in. Sorry, not Eason. Santos. 9-point game. This is kind of what you expected if Houston was going to be playing well in this series. There's Podziemski post, big 3 in the corner, closed out again by Adams. There's time here for Van Vliet, gets it ahead. Eason's going to get a good look here. Ooh, off the glass. That could have cut it to 6. So we got a game all of a sudden. Or maybe not all of a sudden. That was a pretty slow run, but Golden State 3 points in the last 6 minutes or so of the half.
Yeah, Stephen Curry got a jumper to give the Warriors 68 points at the 4:10 mark, and then their basket before that was Curry free throws at 6:28. So Goddard says holding the Warriors to under 70 through 3 would have seemed like a big accomplishment. It is a big accomplishment. Like, their defense has been really good. Their offense hasn't been good enough to give them the lead, but that should not in any way diminish how well the Rockets have played defensively.
The most exploitable matchup on each side so far. Well, if Santos is playing, he can just get blown by on the perimeter. There really isn't much more for Golden State. Steph has held up pretty well so far. That's really, if you don't have a perimeter player that they fear switching Steph Curry onto, that's your first option there. Şengün's been pretty good, but I don't think he's been like going at Draymond and killing him. So, and then I think Steph going at whoever Şengün is guarding as a screener is probably your best option. This level of poor finishing to be expected from the Rockets? Yeah, the Warriors have always been a good rim protecting team. Like, they got a lot of hands. Draymond is not going to block a lot of shots, but he still bothers guys. He gets his chest into guys. Yeah, let's check out the old shot charts here.
The Rockets are 11 of 18 in the restricted area. The Warriors are only 4 of 7.
Yeah. How you feeling about the fourth quarter?
The Rockets have played a lot better in the last bit than they have, but I worry that as much as they're getting on second chance points and all that, that it's not going to be quite enough. The Warriors will kind of they'll get their way to enough baskets, but I do feel better about the Rockets in subsequent games this series, even if they don't win this one, than I did after that first half.
Jalen Green has played 23 minutes. He's 2 for 10. Udoka is going to have a very interesting decision about whether to close with him or not.
I mean, especially with how well Tari Eason has played defensively.
Yeah, Van Vliet is 3 of 14, and they said Van Vliet's just chucking bad shots. Well, he's gotten some open ones that he hasn't made, but he's just like, who else is taking these shots? Like, he's just getting a lot of flaming bags.
Is it poor asset management by the Rockets that they have this level of skill but a complete lack of shooting shot and creation? It's still pretty early for them. Like, I think that that you draft a lot of these players. They didn't miss particularly on like too many of their picks, and they haven't. But it eventually, if this persists, then you use some of your resources to shore this up. So I don't think this is a huge problem now, because they weren't sure that Amen was this good before this season. And like, I mean, they still haven't figured out Amen, Jabari, all that type of stuff. So I don't think it's poor asset management yet.
Big stretch here. Steph is on the floor. He's played 28 minutes. He's guarding Amen Thompson. They try to get Green going, but he's guarded by Gary Payton. Draymond comes up to double team. Draymond can get back into the action on Adams. Good communication. But then Payton peeled off for no reason. But of course, the Rockets miss it. Offensive rebound, of course. Jalen Green in. Of course, he misses. And finally, the Warriors have it. Pajemski back to Steph. Steph has Jalen Green on him. Gets it out to two non-shooters. They screen for Steph. Adams not coming out of the paint. Steph missed that three, though.
That was a really nice screen by Gary Payton to get some extra space for Curry.
So the double big lineup now with Steph on the floor. Şengün goes through post. Şengün's best action has been in semi-transition where the Warriors haven't been able to load up on him. 7-point game. Warriors still can't score. Steph got a good look that time, though. They screen for him with Green. Here's Payton right down the lane. Stopped. Smith.
The Rockets have such good length and supplemental rim protection that Gary Payton got downhill, but didn't matter because Jabari was close enough. Great
That's
block.
a great rotation by him to come from all the way up by the elbow to block that shot.
Only 5 on the clock.
Post is going to fire. No, Smith closed him down. Steph will have to shoot it. He barely gets it off, and he makes a the same shot he just hit, but that's over Amen Thompson instead of Jalen Green. Steph has been unbelievable. Now Şengün going up against Post. Post trying to defend the post. Şengün almost
travel.
Walked. Draymond goes down. Adams is fouled.
How did they miss that travel? Having right in front of the ref.
Yeah, these shots that they've hit, Steph, Butler, like that's what's keeping them in the lead. I don't think they've outplayed the Rockets really, other than those 3 ridiculous threes. Jimmy just can't believe it.
It is wild. You think about the arc of this season for Jimmy Butler, and basically, like playing and not playing his way out of Miami, and then you end up in this kind of a situation. Not a strong seed because of the loss to San Antonio and some other stuff, but really well-fitting surrounding talent for him.
That was a lane violation. They didn't call it. And that free throw was ugly. Woof. There's the screen for Steph against the zone. Goes right by Adams. Lost it in the air. They are still trying the double big against Steph. Adams, beautiful fake, and the dunk. Man, I still can't get over how he looks better to me physically than he did in his Memphis days.
I mean, I'm thinking at least 5 years.
Butler in the pick and roll. Pajemski floats out for a huge three. That misses. That was good action, but he couldn't knock it down. Smith picked up by Pods. Amen is being guarded by Steph Curry. That's something that you would hope, as Pajemski is going to get a foul down low on Smith trying to post up. You would hope that Amen Thompson could attack Stephen Curry.
Yes.
And they're not really going to that at all. You would think that he just could get downhill. He did throw a beautiful pass here in transition.
Pajemski, 4 of 11 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3.
Trying to post up now against Butler. Smith off the screen. Smith takes a difficult one, and they're going to get Draymond for tapping him on the arm here.
That is Draymond.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Houston is going to get into the bonus very quickly, and the free throw game was huge for them in just keeping Golden State out of any kind of transition, any kind of easy look. What were you going to say about the free or the foul situation?
Yes, so Draymond has 3, Moody has 3, not that that's probably going to matter. Team has 3, so the Rockets are getting close to the bonus.
3 fouls in less than 3 minutes. And the question for me is, how long is this double big look going to work for Houston? And I think having Smith out there at the 3 to give more rim protection on the back line is helpful. And the referees are really going to start enforcing the rules on these free throw box outs. And it is absolute warfare along the lane lines right now. Close as the Rockets have been at 6. Pitch to Draymond. They don't even guard him. They kick it to Pajemski. Pause into the lane. Payton in the corner. Quick release 3, but that's a shot Houston will absolutely live with. And they really got to get Steph on the ball here, running pick and roll against the zone. They just set a screen to put a better defender onto Jalen Green. Now Amen's going to go downhill. Draymond comes over, bothered him. I think it was Butler who tipped that in, or maybe it was Adams. But regardless, Adams' pressure made the play, and it's down to 4. Golden State can't score. Draymond, Butler had Pajemski open. Too late getting it to him. Smith is flying around. Underneath, it's Payton finally sneaking along the baseline. A system bucket for Golden State. Now Green blowing by Payton. Payton swoop back in for the block. Green out of control.
And I think the Warriors should push in transition when they get the opportunity because they're not getting many.
Now Butler goes into Adams. Couldn't get the foul call. I thought that actually might have been a foul. He's behind the play. It's a 5-on-4. Adams at the foul line. Butler got it from behind. It's loose. Went for the steal. Couldn't get it. Now it's Thompson going downhill against Curry. Around Pajemski. Slammed the ball into the bottom of the rim on the finish attempt. They throw it ahead here for Payton and the dunk. And this will be a timeout for Ime Udoka. What a couple of missed opportunities for the Houston Rockets. They cannot finish inside.
And that was a very nice run out by Gary Payton II off of what didn't seem like a quickly secured rebound. Based off this game, who should the closing 5 be for the Rockets? To me, the automatics are Şengün, Amen, and I'd say probably.
I mean, why Amen?
I guess that's true.
His body of work maybe, but if you're just saying based on
solely off this game,
in this game,
Easton's been better than him.
Yeah. Obviously, neither of them are making a three. I mean, you probably would get Dillon Brooks in there just because he's probably the best hope of any of these guys of making a shot. And Smith to me has been good. Right? The real question is, are you going to go with Adams? Because if you go with Adams, then you got to go with Şengün. And I think if it gets down to the end and Golden State gets really intentional about it, they're going to score too easily against that zone.
I agree. And Adams has been really good, but I think it could be different with like the best 5 out there for the Warriors.
To catch you up on some of the stats, Şengün hasn't done much in the second half, but he's got 24 points. Van Vliet is 3 of 14, 1 of 8 from 3. Jalen Green is 2 of 13. Amen is 2 of 7. Dillon Brooks is 2 of 8. The Rockets are still at 13.6% from downtown at 3 out of 22. Warriors were on fire for a while, but they're down to 35% themselves. This has been an absolute rock fight as expected.
Rockets are 14 of 23 in the restricted area. The Warriors are 6 of 11. The Rockets have almost taken more shots in the restricted area than the Warriors have in the entire paint. Just they're 2 fewer. And then they have another 22 upper paint attempts in this game.
As well, I mean, Golden State is up 8 right now. And I don't think that the Rockets have had a great solution for Steph. I think they could do better there. But Rockets are 9 of 18 from the foul line. Amen is 0 for 4. They're 3 of 22 from 3. I realize they're a bad shooting team, but they're not this bad. If they made a few more shots, the offensive rebounding wouldn't be mattering quite as much, but they've held Golden State to 3 offensive rebounds. That's a big part. Golden State's actually a pretty good offensive rebounding team themselves. So the Rockets, you might argue, have played better than Golden State.
Especially when you consider some of the shots the Warriors have made. There's a reasonable argument for it.
Yeah, now, making shots is kind of an important part of basketball, but if you're just going to regress these performances to the mean a little bit. That's a good advice there from Steve Kerr. If y'all couldn't hear it, he said they cannot score against us unless we turn it over or we're in a rush. So everybody slow down and get some space. I think that's probably true. Golden State's usually pretty good in transition, but here I think a more intentional approach to get it to Steph is important. Moody is back in. Warriors have their starting group. Van Vliet has returned as well. Şengün on the bench. Thompson crosses over. Green steps up onto him. Corner Smith. Oh, and he makes it. I thought Butler overhelped there just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't something really threatening around the basket there.
That was a really nice pass by Amen, though. Down to 5. That's now as close as it's been. Or I think it was 4.
It was 4.
Backdoor. Thompson has it. It's loose. Moody stuck in the corner. A good idea to throw it off the foot of Adams with 10 to shoot, although it'll be a difficult inbounding angle.
Just don't throw it anywhere near his hands.
Yeah, so watch Butler here. He's going to step in, worried that Adams is going to slip to the basket. I thought they had that controlled pretty well, and Amen saw that immediately. That was a really good pass. Steph going to try to come to the ball here, I would imagine. Instead, it's Green. He'll screen for Butler, who then screens for Steph. Steph gets it off from 2-point range. Podziemski tried to run it down. And how is that not a foul on Podziemski? It's loose. Somehow the Rockets come away. Eason back to Van Vliet's capable hands. Butler going to try to force him towards the baseline. They get it to Adams. Change sides of the floor. Into the post. Amen against Curry. Green is hanging out. Tries to cleanse. Amen goes right. That was perfect timing from Amen. Green had the clock in his head of the defensive 3-second. He had to cleanse, and that's when Amen began his attack. Here's Draymond going to the basket. Tries to leave it for Moody. No even thought of finishing. Podziemski floater. Blocking foul.
Did they call this a charge?
So Amen looks like something happened to his knee here. Hopefully just a banged knee.
I think I saw him mouth "I'm fine," so I think he's okay.
So yeah, they're gonna call Moody shoving Amen here. You can't see it from that angle.
So they
Oh
called
yeah,
this on they called
I
this on Amen.
yeah, I didn't get a great look at it. Let's see. Nah, he's not there in time. The upward motion has started. If you're gonna go by the snapshot, here's the upward motion starting. He's not there yet to me, and he's also still moving forward into him. I thought it was very obviously. Let's see from this angle. Yeah, I mean the upward motion, and he's also still crashing his chest forward into him. You can see it from that angle. I will be aggrieved if this is overturned.
Any issue with Pajemski's knee?
I always hated that call. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to jump? Yeah, I wouldn't have challenged that one. I thought that was a bad call or a bad idea. It's a fourth foul on the men, not a disaster at this point in the game. So Pajemski rarely visits the foul line, but these are some big free throws coming up.
Yeah, with the margin only 3.
Yeah. Yeah, Golden State has, and let me go back and see how long it's been since they've been in this scoring drought. And they had, I think, 67 points. Yeah, they led it 66-43 with 6:28 left.
And so
And
they've scored 10 points.
they've scored 10 points in a quarter of play. See if there's anything interesting floating around the internet.
Let's see. Kyle say can't get offensive rebounds if you don't miss shots. Any chance that Reed Shepard plays in this series? Not in the competitive portion. I mean, a lot of this is about trust. I mean, if Reed Shepard were playing better this year, I think there absolutely would be a place for him in this series, but he hasn't been.
Yeah, I mean, Amen is like almost tripping over himself, falling forward. Yeah, we're nearing the time now when we're going to find out if Steven Adams is going to close this game. You would think he would need a little bit of a rest. He's been in for some time now. He remains in the game now. Yeah, for Kerr, is he going to try to get Steph one more rest? Steph would get to about 39, 40 minutes if he played the entire way. If he did, it would be kind of a token thing, I would imagine. But that long review, as Pajemski misses the first free throw where he's struggled somewhat in his career.
The Warriors are now 10 of 13 from the line.
And make it 11 of 14, although that one rimmed in.
Oh, and as we got note in the comments, the Rockets are down to 1 timeout left.
Yep, and 0 challenges. That was, I thought, a poor challenge by Udoka. Back screen, split cut. Green got it. should know that he'd be ready to back off of Adams, who's not a shooting threat. Podziemski pushed it. Draymond looked for Jimmy on the cut. Jimmy has Adams on him. They clear out. Butler getting to his spot, crosses the formation. Here's Podziemski, almost tripped, almost traveled. Moody has to take a tough fading shot. Moses Moody, who has been an afterthought offensively. Back up to 6. This one is grinding out into a classic. Another edition of this rivalry is there's Moody again making a play in the passing lanes as Van Vliet not really able to do anything against Curry.
And
This
only
time,
9. Oh, go ahead.
Only 9 to shoot.
Yeah, 9 to shoot until they get an offensive rebound.
Curry, good denial on Van Vliet. Amen is going to have to create something late. Goes to the tough fader, and he drained it. Nice shot there. That's the shot that I think is most important for him if he's going to be an on-ball engine, much like with Russell Westbrook, to whom he's often been compared. When Westbrook lost that shot, that's when he totally lost his effectiveness as a point guard. Curry double-teamed. Adams got a hand on it. It's going to be off Smith. We'll stay here with 6 to shoot. Now, that hit Smith's left knee to me.
Yeah, it looked like it hit Smith last. He's aggrieved, so maybe we saw something. Maybe there was something different, but the Rockets also don't have a challenge. 6 seconds left. And Adams, looks like Adams is coming out, probably for Şengün.
Yeah, at a minimum, he would need a rest. Yeah, I thought it hit Smith's left knee. Maybe not. Here's Curry. He's going to get it off. Oh! Unreal! That was with 4 on the shot clock. He just fired it. What a performance. Now Eason goes to the floater from the foul line. Awful shot. Another offensive rebound. Can Van Vliet finally hit one? No. Butler, no, that's Moody with the rebound this time. Curry can put him into difficulty with a bucket here. Blows by Eason. And Şengün got it with the strip.
And Curry's not getting back fast enough.
Şengün caught. Oh, smoked layup there for Eason. But it'll be another offensive rebound for Houston. Golden State has a use it or lose it timeout. Here's Curry. Yeah, shooting set for 32 feet away. No problem. Just go ahead and step into it on a sideline out of bounds. Rockets have a fresh 14. Smith to Şengün against Draymond. Podziemski gets through the screen. They switch this. Smith on a good rip through into Podziemski. Nice sphere back there. It was Moody and Butler who were both in position for the steal. Golden State so good at help defense. Steph gets Smith onto him. Gets it to Butler. Going through. Butler gets his man in the air. Stopped from behind by Şengün. Nice job by Easton not fouling there to set that up. Here's Van Vliet. Still confident. 3 Rockets have the rebound. Podziemski took it away. He's got Steph. Steph's going to slow it down. He heard Kerr's admonition from earlier. Comes off the screen to go at Şengün. Moody is wide open on the pick and pop. Podziemski on the tip. Goes right to Green for the layup. Finally, the Warriors get an offensive rebound, and it's Podziemski tipping it away from 3 Rockets.
And Jimmy Butler wanted that pass from Moses Moody to take a corner 3 late clock.
And Moody was wide open himself, though. I'd probably prefer Moody there. Şengün into the post against Draymond. Goes to the spin, and he beats him. That's a foul.
Yeah, that Draymond, and he's going to want a challenge. That's a foul.
Yeah, Draymond, he had a piece with Marcus Thompson talking about how he guards Şengün, and I'm sorry, it was only 2 Rockets that Podziemski beat. But Şengün, Draymond, the first thing he said in that piece, are they going to actually challenge this? They haven't used it or lose it timeout.
But you still don't want to lose your remaining challenge for the rest of this game to indulge Draymond Green. Yeah,
this would be a 4th foul. Is that what they're doing, though? They are going to challenge it?
Let me take a look. The official box does not say this is a challenge. I don't see a green light on in the arena either.
Yeah. But you'd think Kerr would take it in between the two free throws by Şengün.
So I asked about, has Fred VanVleet made a shot? Technically, yes, but he's only made one in the entire second half. Granted, he only made two in the first half. But yeah, it hasn't been the best Fred VanVleet performance.
And he's been a Warriors killer, but 1 out of 10, and some of these are really open. But as I was saying, Draymond talked about this in that piece with Marcus, that the first thing you want to do is prevent the Şengün spin. And that's really the first time Şengün went to the spin. Draymond was walled up a little bit too hard, and Şengün has probably the best spin move in the league.
That's a fair note from Druid, that the out of bounds call, if that was actually off of Draymond, was a huge swing because Curry made the three on the ensuing possession. That's right, considering how scarce points have been in this game.
Yeah, there's Kerr on audio asking Steph and Draymond if they're good to finish it out. And probably the biggest reason to take that time out is to allow them a little bit of a break. Curry has gone 36 minutes, Butler 39, Green 33.
Could Cam Whitmore have a role in this series if they didn't have better options defensively? And he's worse defensively than I think some think, and then he can shoot, but he also could sometimes shoot too much. So maybe you try it if the offense stays horrible. Made free throw there by Şengün, but he's not better than the guys they're playing. Draymond being Draymond.
Where is he trying to go? Why does he just keep trying to walk through him? So 2 rimmed in free throws by Alperen Şengün, and they get it into Curry's hands now. 7-point game.
Should the Rockets be pressuring a little bit more in the backcourt?
I would say so. But the Warriors know how to deal with that with little actions going backdoor. Moody guarded by Şengün. He's just going to take him one-on-one here. I don't really love that. Şengün locked him up. Draymond's going to have to force. And Steph Curry or Jimmy Butler, neither of them got the ball in the attacking zone that time. That was pretty poor. I don't know why they threw it to Moody. And again, you got to get into these Warriors players' heads. If you're healed, Podziemski, Moody, if you don't have the play right away, get it into somebody else's hands. Like, oh, I have a center on me. Well, okay, we saw what happened when you just tried to take that center, and the answer was nothing.
So the lineup out there for the Rockets is their starting fives. That's VanVleet and Jalen Green out there.
Yeah, they bring Green in, presumably to see if they can get some offense. Moody is guarding Green. No Steven Adams for Houston right now. Şengün hands off to Thompson. Thompson on the drive. Lost it. Kicks it out. VanVleet, can he finally make one? Yeah,
yes.
It's said to be the end of the clock, as he's a killer. 4-point game. Great pass by Amen. Amen trying to bother Curry. Here's Podziemski right down the lane. Wide open corner 3. Moody cashes out. All from the Steph screening action. He hit Podziemski rolling to the basket. Huge response. No trip there. Moody almost got the steal. Now Şengün's going to try Draymond. They double team. Run Green off the line. His jumper is short. Rebound Podziemski. No Rocket was really in the area on the offensive board. That was a huge miss. 3-possession game. They double team at half court. Steph wants to get it back. We haven't even seen Butler involved at all. Here's Steph on the drive right down the lane. Missed it. Butler offensive rebound. He goes up and finishes.
And that's a huge second chance point. I think that's probably enough for the Warriors. It's going to take a lot of offensive success for the Rockets here.
Yeah, now the Rockets have to get some turnovers. That's really the only way they're going to do it now. Warriors will go into more of a no-3 defense with a 3-possession lead. VanVleet on the drive. Steph tries not to foul. Amen back. Oh, Steph didn't stay with VanVleet, but he left it way short. Didn't quite have his feet set. They get it ahead into Butler's hands. And Houston had their chances. They got it within 4. but Golden State was able to respond immediately. The Moody three. Now Butler is going to work on Şengün. Butler steps back to his right and cashes out. That's going to do it. Jimmy Butler found his confidence in his mid-ranger. Green blows into the basket. Draymond got out of his way. Smart move to not risk the and one. Jalen Green, this is anecdotal, but he seems like one of the all-time get to the basket for a 2 and a need a 3 situation to boost the stats kind of guy. Bajemski against Brooks. Turns the corner, goes in, and twists it off the basket. Butler takes it away from Şengün. More transition. He'll dunk it down. And Golden State, after struggling on the offensive glass of the possession game, they shut off Houston's water. They got 2 huge offensive rebounds themselves. Thompson will kick it out to Brooks. This would not be fair for this to be a 10-point game. Houston played better than that, but again, they couldn't score down the end. They couldn't keep Golden State off the glass. They were so worried about Curry that they gave up a wide open corner 3 to Moody, and that was your game. And for those who are wondering whether Steph Curry might struggle against Houston, 31 points, 12 of 19 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. Did have 4 turnovers, but he brought him home in this one.
Yeah, we'll have a lot to talk about for this game. For Dunked On tonight, we'll have less to talk about for the other 3 games.
All right, we're going to pack it in and go and do the show. We will be on YouTube for that, though, so you can join us in, 20 or 30 minutes or so. Talk to y'all then.